Devashish Prabhu, Dandavat.
Dandavat Rasananda Prabhu, Dandavat Narayani.
Oh, happy to see you, happy to hear you.
Thank
happy
you, likewise.
Yeah. How are you? How is weather?
It's okay, it's raining here, but otherwise okay.
Today we meeting with different devotees from different countries, but especially Russia, Ukraine, Russian speaking, and Ukrainian speaking more. And I want, before devotees will ask you something questions, I want to ask you questions. What you now thinking last time about what you thinking this time, this period?
What am I thinking?
Yeah. What you want to share with devotees, because it is for me especially interesting all time. What thinking Vaishnavas?
Well, always I'm thinking how I can give myself more to Guru Maharaj, to Guru Dev, to Krishna, and also thinking how much I'm unable to do that. So always some difficulty in my consciousness, because I want to give myself completely for Guru Maharaj's service, but some maya, some difficulty in my health or something preventing me from 100% doing that, and also my attachment with my family and my circumstances. But my desire is like that, to try to give my 100% of my life for Guru Maharaj's service. So this is, I'm always thinking this, and how I can serve the Vaishnavas. I want to serve the Vaishnavas, and if I can make them happy, then I think I have some good hope for the future. And this is always the how my thinking is running.
It is so interesting. I think that maybe all devotees think about such things.
Yeah,
They are spiritual paths. And just remembering about book which you compiled about service, life in service.
Yeah.
And thank you, Prabhu, that you're sharing this. I want to ask devotees in Russian to asking questions. So before we wait in question from devotees, I asking some question about this book. How you came to this idea to complete this book, Life in Service?
I saw that there, as our mission was growing, when we first came to Srila Guru Maharaj in the 1980s, then there was just a few of us, not so many. So then later, after Srila Govinda Maharaj became the Acharya, and then our mission began growing very much all over the world, and so many new devotees coming, but not so many devotees getting the chance to stay in Navadvip and to be trained there in how to behave as a Vaishnava, how to serve the Vaishnavas, what are the etiquette, and so many things in temple life and in devotional life in general. So I thought, let me try and write something so the devotees, maybe they can learn these things. I saw, sometimes devotees were getting initiated and they didn't know how to follow Ekadashi. They didn't know like anything of the basic things, because not all the devotees living in the temple and not all the devotees being trained in devotional practice. So I thought maybe we can write something. So this was my idea. And I also at that time I was giving some classes that were being recorded around this subject, and some of the devotees said, why don't you make a book about this? So that was the idea, make a small booklet so the devotees could learn about how things are done, particularly in Chaitanya Saraswat and how to observe all the rules and regulations and practices and etiquettes within devotional life.
And we have some questions.
How to become a tool in the hands of the Lord, and what does it mean to be a tool in the hands of the Lord?
I mean, the obvious answer to that is by surrender. And how do we surrender to the Lord, and how do we know what is the will of the Lord? This is a significant question. So how we know what is the will of the Lord is through the devotee of the Lord, who has real connection with Krishna, who is really already established in the service of Krishna. They can show us and engage us in the service of Krishna. And if we want to be, as you say, a tool in the hand of Lord Krishna, then that means to be the tool in the hand of his devotee. Otherwise, it's a devotion to Krishna without the devotee is only imagination. We can only serve Krishna through his devotee. This is told everywhere. Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto to Uddhava, he says, those who say that they are my devotee, they may be some kind of devotee, but I don't really accept them as truly my devotee. But those who are the devotee of my devotee, those I consider actually to be my devotees. And then in that same conversation, Acharya mam vidyanayat, navamanyeta karhiches, he's saying, you should know that the Acharya, he's my own self. And everything that's godly is present in him. Never think of him as an ordinary person, although he may look like that, may move in the world like that, but never think of that devotee in such a way, because everything that is godly, that is within him, and he is my own self. What is coming, Sridhar Maharaj said, the inspired side of a devotee, that is the Acharya, and that is coming through. That is Krishna himself. So we can understand what it means to be an instrument for Krishna's service through those who are actually established in the service of Krishna. And if they will engage us in the service of Krishna, then we can be instrument or tool in the hand of Krishna. Otherwise, it is not possible. Otherwise, it will just be imagination or, some kind of self-indulgent idea, not real devotion to the Lord. Real devotion to the Lord must be and can only be through his true devotee. So in short, that's the answer to this question.
Each student remembers some valuable things from Gurudev, what Gurudev was given to students. Maybe can you share with us with these valuable things, or some treasure, what you have taken from Gurudev?
Actually, so much we've got from Srila Gurudev. We were only with Srila Sridhar Maharaj for 6 years, but with Srila Govinda Maharaj for over 25 years. Now, this is an extraordinary thing. No disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had that much association with their guru. No disciple of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, even apart from Srila Govinda Maharaj and a few others, had that kind of association, but no Western disciples. And the same of Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj's disciples. No one had so much association, but 25 years we had association of Srila Gurudev. And so, every aspect of our association with him was a treasure. But if I would say, what is the one thing that he really embodied in his own teaching was Trinadapi Sunichena Torori Vaso Hishnuna. Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Shadahari, that he taught us humility, tolerance, to give honor to others and not to expect any honor or respect for ourselves. And that he showed us by his own example that this is the only way in which we can really become qualified to chant the holy name of Krishna. And, you know, many times I saw that in his life and his own behavior. Once in London, there was some upheaval, we can say, and one of the leading devotees was causing so much disturbance by their activity. And then Srila Govinda Maharaj, he was there, and he spoke about that devotee, and he's giving so much honor and so much praise and so much glorification of that devotee. And after that talk, I was upstairs in his room with him, and Bhakti Lalita, she was also there. And Gurudev said, "What did you think about my talk about that Prabhu?" And I said, "Oh, Maharaj, forgive me, but I think it was maybe too much honor to that devotee. He did so many bad things, you know. I think you should have been given some chastisement to him." And he said, "No, everything I said was true. I can prove it." I said, "Yes, Maharaj, I understand that. But I just wondered if it was maybe too much because of the present circumstance." Then he asked, Srila Gurudev asked Bhakti Lalita, "What do you think?" And she said, "Yeah, maybe a bit too much, Maharaj." And Gurudev said, "What can I do? This is how I was taught by Srila Guru Maharaj, to give honor to all and respect, honor, and with humility and tolerance. I don't know any other way, Prabhu." I said, "All right, Maharaj, okay." Then in a few days after that, some very miraculous things happened in our community, and everything became harmonized. And I came to Gurudev and I said, "Maharaj, please forgive me. It was so wrong what I said to you, that what you said was too much. What you did was perfect, and because of that, some like perfect harmonious situation has come as a result of that. And you please excuse me." And he said, "No, Prabhu. This is the only way that I know. It's the only thing that works. And I found this out through sheer desperation. I found this out, that in devotional life, only humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others is the only thing that will be successful." And we see that he's like the embodiment of that, really the embodiment of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. And because of that, I think we have the key to real success in spiritual life. It's a sadhana we have to practice, because we aren't humble, we aren't tolerant, we don't like to give respect to others. We covet so much respect and honor for ourselves. Then as a sadhana, we have to practice all the time humility, practice all the time tolerance, practice all the time to give honor to others, and practice all the time not to want that in our heart for our own self. And really it is our sadhana. That is our real sadhana, more than anything else, because without that, all of our chanting, everything, it's not real. It isn't real. It can only be real when we are able to practice these teachings. And they're not mundane, because Mahaprabhu himself has given this instruction to us. So this is really what we should be striving for in our devotional life, to become an embodiment of humility, tolerance, and honor to all. This is what Srila Gurudev showed us by his own example, by his own life, and by his own teachings. And I think, you know, that I'm not alone in saying that any devotee who spent time substantially with Srila Govinda Maharaj, they will say the same thing as I'm saying, that he was the very embodiment of this teaching of Mahaprabhu. And because of that, our lives have become so much enriched and so much blessed by that. So, of course, there are many things that we can say about our time with Srila Gurudev and the many things that happen. But, you know, if there's a standout thing, it has to be that. It has to be that.
You remembering Srila Gurudev, and also tomorrow will be day of disappearance, Srila Govinda Maharaj. Maybe you would say something about what devotees thinking in this day. How is the correct mood of celebration this specific day?
It is very hard to think that we would celebrate the disappearance of our Guru, because we always want to be eternally in his company. So to be separated from him, it is a very difficult thing. So we have, you know, it's a mixture on the disappearance day of our Guru. There's a mixture of feelings, because one thing we understand is that he's entered into the eternal Leela with Lord Krishna, the eternal service of Srila Guru Maharaj, again united in Goloka Vrindavan, in their eternal pastimes with Lord Krishna. And we're not pretending that we're privy to understand what that is, but we know that they are together, again they are in the eternal service of Lord Krishna, the eternal company of Lord Krishna, the eternal singing and dancing with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Goloka Vrindavan. We know that they are there. And so for that, we can be joyful. We can be joyful for that. But at the same time, to be without their company, that is very difficult. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to say, 10 years with Prabhupada, meaning Saraswati Thakur, 10 years with Prabhupada, 50 years alone. So even he would, you know, lament the separation of his Gurudev. Of course, who will he consult with? He is the topmost Vaishnava, follower of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But then without Saraswati Thakur's consultation, and we can understand that. And we can only understand that when we have that is our own experience in our separation from Srila Guru Maharaj, in our separation from Srila Gurudev, and tomorrow, that day. So, you know, we mark it in one sense. It was a great, we can say, a tragedy in our life that we will be separated from him. And but at the same time, it means that now we have to go a little deeper. When Guru is present with us, then everything is very easy. Srila Govinda Maharaj used to say, when I was with Guru Maharaj, then I could jump off the top of Gauranga Setu, the bridge, and I would not feel any fear, because I know Guru Maharaj is there to catch me. And whatever I do, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's wrong, whether it's right, I know that Guru Maharaj is taking all of that. And so I have no fear. I have no anticipation in anything that I do. But now that Guru Maharaj is gone, then you can say, the buck stops here. Now you have to be responsible for your own spiritual life and for your own actions. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, in the absence of my Gurudev, should I wish to live a peaceful life? So no, now in the separation from our Guru, it means the physical separation from our Guru, now the testing time will come for the disciple. And it must come, and it's necessary for us to come. So Guru Maharaj says, so the disciple, in the absence of his Guru, must be tested again and again and again. So it's just like the expert swordsmith, when he's making a sword, he has to keep beating the metal and then putting it into the heat, and then plunging it into the water, and then again taking it out and beating again. And this way, a whole process of forging the steel of that weapon to make it indestructible, unbreakable. So in the same way, the disciple must undergo the trial of separation, the ordeal of separation. And Srila Maharaj says, and not everyone will pass that test. But those who do will come out the other side forged like steel. And this is a necessary part of our own spiritual growth, to be able to go on without the physical presence of our Guru. That means, that Srila Maharaj said, then the test will come. How much, how deeply have you accepted his teachings and his creed within your heart? Deeply, significantly, or just outwardly in a showing way? Just that is that as far as it goes, or is it something deep, something that has become one with you? Then this will test that. The absence of your Guru will test that whether you are a real disciple or not. So then that's necessary for us, for all of us, because it's a natural part of what will happen. A natural part of, you can say, our spiritual life is to be in the company of our Guru, and then to be bereft of the company of our Guru. It is a natural part of devotional life. But then it means you can't then, let me say, what do I want to say? You can't leave your devotional life in the hands of somebody else now. You have to take the wealth that you yourself have gained from the association of your Guru and go on. Stand up and be counted now. You have to show, yes, I am a disciple of such and such. He is my Guru, and this is my life, and these are his teachings, and I stand for that. And if we are fortunate, we can say, like when Sridhar Maharaj disappeared, already he made arrangements that we will get the shelter of Srila Govinda Maharaj. So that blow of separation was a little less for us. And as I said, we had so many years in the association and service of Srila Govinda Maharaj. But that, in one sense, that made his disappearance even more difficult for us, to be so closely connected with such a great master for so many years, and then suddenly that's cut. Then we have to find those devotees who are simpatico with us, who are, of a similar mind, a similar nature, and who can help us to carry on in the line that and that means the God brothers, our God brothers, as much as we're able to, establish our own devotional life. We can also get help from the God brothers who are surrendered to our Gurudev, who are also trying to continue in his absence. And this way we will get strength. Through the Vaishnavas. It's always through the Vaishnavas. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur disappeared from the world and all the devotees were thrown into this difficult situation, Saraswati Thakur no longer here, and someone said, now where will we get our light? Where will we find our guidance? And one of the devotees, he said, the great scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, that will be our light in the darkness, like this. And then someone said, what do you say, Sridhar Maharaj? And Sridhar Maharaj said, we are not Sikhs. The Sikhs, they worship their book as God. If you go to the Sikh temple, they have the book on the altar, the Guru Granth Sahib, and they're doing the puja and everything to the book. So Sridhar Maharaj said, we are not Sikhs. We, as much as we love Srimad Bhagavatam, we need to find the person Bhagavat, not just the book Bhagavat, but the person Bhagavat. So in the association of the devotees, in the association of the God brothers, and especially those who are more advanced than ourselves, who are of a deeper realization, spiritual realization than ourselves, they will be the most helpful kind of company, and we should search that out. And Sridhar Maharaj said, and if you think there's nobody who is of a higher position or able to help you, then you're in a very deplorable situation. Rather, we want that. We want to find devotees who are more advanced on the path than we are, because that's how we progress, by association and service with the higher Vaishnavas. And they are there, always they're there. They may not be Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they may not be Srila Govinda Maharaj, but their company is valuable and great. And those who are able to see that, we have to try to see where the line, where the current of devotion is flowing, the line of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, the line of Srila Govinda Maharaj. Try to see, is not in any formal way, but try to see where that is manifesting in the world. And there we bow our head and try to get that association and that service. Then we can progress in spiritual life. And on the day of Srila Gurudev's disappearance, yes, we are feeling some pain in our heart, but we're also feeling some joy that we have, that we're able to go on in his name, in his teaching, and in his company, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he reasons ill who says that a Vaishnava dies, because Vaishnavas, they live in sound, and living try to spread the holy life around. So through the teachings of our gurus, if we are true to the teaching of our guru, then we are never separated from our guru. We are always in the association of our guru. And as much as we're able to do that, and as much as we feel ourselves to be unqualified and fallen, still we feel that we have some strength to continue in his name, in his line, in his remembrance always. So this is really how the devotees should be feeling on the disappearance day of Srila Govinda Maharaj, especially his disciples, direct disciples.
Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing such deep heart things.
Here is one question. Narayani, did you send me a question? How to act in this or that situation? Hear the Guru in the heart. How does this happen? Remember Guru's answers or listen to intuition?
I think I understand the question, but yes, we have a Guru in the heart is there. That no question. That's called Chaita Guru. But to connect with the Chaita Guru, not so easy, because we often confuse our mind to be our Chaita Guru. And it's said that one who has his mind as his guru has a fool for a disciple. So we are not thinking, rather we should be a little bit cautious about thinking that we are able to be in tune with the Chaita Guru or the Guru in the heart. Rather, if we are able, it is better to get our help directly from the Vaishnava. That is the Mahanta Guru. So because we are not able to distinguish our heart and our mind, then the Mahanta Guru will come to us and to our relief and give us some direct help, specific help. This is why even the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat, they are different, but at the same time the same. So Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the scripture of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Srimad Bhagavatam has so much advice. But when you're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, you may not always understand what's being told. You may miss misunderstand what you're reading there. And the book generally, although it is non-different with Krishna and also living, it will not generally correct you. If you misunderstand, the book won't say, no, it means this. But the devotee may be able to do that. The devotee may, naturally, when we're reading the scripture, so many questions will come, and the devotee will say, yes, it means this, or no, it means that. They'll be able to correct us and put us on the right path. And so similarly, with our connecting with the inner guru, that will be, that is on a more advanced level, actually, to be able to hear the voice of our guru in the heart. That is in our current stage, for most of us, that is impractical, because we are likely to project our own thoughts and our own prejudices and our own misconceptions upon that. So this is one of the defects of the human being, is that he's likely to misunderstand and likely to deceive himself. The worst kind of deceit, even deceiving others is one thing, but to deceive oneself, that is the worst thing. I can tell you one story, and I don't mean to criticize anybody, but I had in London one girl. She came from Sweden, and she wrote me a letter and said, if I come to London, will you be my guru? And I replied to her, sister, you're already a disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj, so he is your guru. But if you come to London, I will try and help you as much as I can in service of Srila Govinda Maharaj. And she came to London, and she's a nice girl, simple girl. But one day she came to see me, and she was very distraught and crying, so much crying, and so much crying, like liquid coming from her nose even. And she said, I need to speak to you privately. I said, okay. So we went somewhere, and then I said, okay, what's the problem? And she said, I can't understand why, when I meet Srila Govinda Maharaj, what he tells me is completely different to what he tells me when he comes to me in my dreams. This was her problem. And I said, oh, that's very easy to understand. The reason is because that's a dream. And we shouldn't try to rely on dreams to get our spiritual inspiration. Of course, the Lord and his devotee, they can appear to us in dreams, but it's not the general way. So if our guru is telling us something completely different to what we heard from him in a dream, then we can understand that that dream is nonsense. We think so many things. I told her, once I had a dream that Srila Sridhar Maharaj was living in a tree house in a park near where I lived. And I would go every day and hear from him, and he would speak to us from the tree house. And I said, and then one day when I went there, he said to me, Devashish Prabhu, which is better, Gillette or Wilkinson sword? So that's two brands of razors, Gillette and Wilkinson sword. Which is better? So I asked her, do you think that's some kind of spiritual message he's trying to tell me? Or just maybe I was thinking about buying a new razor and somehow it came into my dream and Srila Sridhar Maharaj asked me. Of course, it's nonsense. It was a nonsense dream, but not bad, because I dreamt of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So, but the content was nonsense, talking about Gillette razors and Wilkinson sword razors. So I said, you mustn't rely on what you dream that your guru is telling you, and similarly, not to rely on what your mind is telling you. But But that voice that is within us, that inner voice that's within us, the inner voice that told us that, yes, this is something real when we came to Krishna consciousness, that inner voice is there and it won't deceive us, actually. But trying to connect with that voice is not so easy. But we can rely on that voice if we are able to connect with it. And you can say, that is the Chaitya Guru. Something inside us told us when we came to the feet of our master, when we came to the Krishna conception, that yes, this is real. Something was chiming inside our heart, isn't it? We all have that experience. So it's not that we can never rely on that. We can always rely on that if it's real. So the scripture or the advice is given, 3 things have to be in consonance with each other. That is the advice of the guru, the advice of the sadhu or the vaishnava, and the advice of the scripture. And if these 3 things agree, then that is considered to be the absolute truth. So whatever we are thinking, we can always check with our guru if they're with us, with the Vaishnava if their guru is not available, and in the scripture. We can check these 3 things. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, a 4th element is also necessary, and that is the acceptance of the heart. The heart has to say yes. When that truth comes to you, the heart cannot but agree, yes. And with that heart, with that voice from the heart, we can go forward. But that should never be in opposition to Guru, to Vaishnava, and to Scripture. They should all agree, all 4 things, with the heart, 4 things, the heart being the 4th thing. Then we can say that that's the reliable inner voice or the reliable Chaitya Guru, because it is in complete agreement with what we find in the teachings of our Guru, in the person of the Vaishnava, and in the advice of the scripture. Then, of course, those who are fully surrendered to the Lord, then their mind is one with the Chaitya Guru. That's Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. The mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. But for most of us, the mind is completely uncontrolled, completely unbridled. What is the function of the mind? Accepting and rejecting things. I want this, I don't want that. This is basically the function of the mind. And if we're a little introspective and we stand back, we can see how the mind works. We can observe that, because we're not the mind, we're above the mind. But the mind also, Srila Govinda Maharaj said, my first lesson when I came to Chaitanya Saraswat Math from Srila Sridhar Maharaj was, Srila Guru Maharaj said, can you listen to me and not your mind? And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, yes, I can do that. And then he said to us, I was young and impetuous and I thought that would be easy. But it is not so easy, just to listen to your guru and not to your mind. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, because my mind's not always giving me bad advice, sometimes giving me good advice too. So it is a discipline to be able to negate the mind. The mind is so intimately connected with us, especially in our conditioned state. So the safest way to proceed is under the direction of a good Vaishnava. Then we won't go wrong. If we can give our trust to a good Vaishnava, then we can say that we've really listened to our inner guru. I think that's the answer to that question. I hope that's the answer to that question.
And Devashish Prabhu, here is some contribution, maybe some question Svetlana Meyer asking in connection with this topic. Even after hearing the words of the Guru, the mind can interpret it its own way? She is asking. And maybe from my side, like contribution to this question, how to listen our Guru and how to understand what our Guru means.
And unfortunately, that is inevitable, that whatever we hear from the spiritual source, it has to go through the filter of our own consciousness. So depending on where our consciousness is, we may receive it in a different way. So the example of that is given when Lord Brahma was teaching his students. Some of his students were devatas, gods, and some of his students were asuras or demons. So one student asked to Lord Brahma, "What am I? What am I?" That was his question. And Lord Brahma's answer was, "You are Atma." And when the students heard that, the gods, the devatas, when they heard that, they understood that to mean, I am spirit. Atma means spirit. I am spirit. But the asuras, when they heard that, Atma, you are Atma, they understood, I am the body. Because Atma can also mean body. Many words in Sanskrit have many meanings according to their context. So the same answer from the same guru, but the disciple, according to the filter of his own consciousness, will receive it in different ways. That's completely inevitable. So all we can do is try our best according to our consciousness, and also keep checking. You know, then there are some signs along the way, you know, if we're going in the right direction or we're going in the wrong direction. And then we can also check. Again, the check is there with the guru. Is this what you meant? Is this the way I should be proceeding? Yes, very good. That's exactly what I meant. Or no, not quite that way. This is actually what I meant. So we can check with our guru, and we can check with the Vaishnava. My Gurudev told me this, and I'm trying to do this way. But is this correct? How I'm proceeding? What do you say? Hear from the Vaishnava, and then we can make some course correction, some modification. And again, check with the scripture. The Gurudev said this, and this is what the scripture says. How to harmonize that? And we'll can come to a deeper understanding. So always we should be looking for confirmation from Guru, from Vaishnava, and from the scripture, and ultimately from our heart. Because Srila Maharaj says, if I'm not in the market to be cheated, then nobody can cheat me. So that's the criterion. Am I actually proceeding in the right way, or do I want something cheap, or looking for some way of getting around that? That's the test. Is it how much I can get away with, or is it how much I can properly understand and proceed in the right line? Well, that's always there. That the two sides are always there. So, like that's called the form and the spirit, or the form and the substance. So we always have to try and give our adherence to the substance. And even if that means to break the form, usually the substance is couched within a form. And that's fine, that's okay, that's how we go. But when the form comes to clash with the substance, then we have to give our attention to the substance, even if that means leaving the form behind. In every way, in every circumstance, we will have to judge according to our best conscience. And our conscience, you can say our conscience is an aspect of the Chaitya Guru. We have to be honest with ourselves. Do I really want the truth, or am I looking for some cheap alternative to that looks good? That will be dependent on our own inner awakening. It'll be different for everyone.
Thank you, Prabhu. And we have a very interesting question from Vrindavan Chandra. I'm asking Vrindavan Chandra that he asked his question by voice. It will be, because the question very deep, I think it will be good if asking from heart to heart.
I am asking, which living Vaishnava do you trust with your life right now?
I feel very blessed that I have the company and the good wishes of many good Vaishnavas. And if I have to say in my life, who do I trust most? Then currently I can say there are many, but foremost, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj and Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj. If I need some advice, some help, some encouragement in my spiritual life, these are the Vaishnavas that I go to first. But I try to have goodwill and respect for all Vaishnavas. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, every Vaishnava has some treasure in their heart. And I believe that to be so. But as you're asking, very direct question, who am I in the present time? Then I have to say Goswami Maharaj, Madhusudan Maharaj, and in my heart, Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Gurudev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. I have to always, whatever I am saying, whatever I am thinking, whatever I'm trying to do, these are the reference points that I have. I'm thinking, what would Srila Sridhar Maharaj say about this? What would Srila Govinda Maharaj say about this? And when I need some clarification on this, these Vaishnavas, Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj, Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj, they're my first port of call, always.
And I want to also little add to this question for me and for my friends in Ukraine, in Russia, Latvia, and Belarus, and Slavic world. What you can say about Srila Avadhuta Maharaj, about your relationship with him, about him like servitor?
Avadhuta Maharaj is, what can I say? He's an extraordinary Vaishnava. And Srila Govinda Maharaj introduced me to him when he was Jagannath Vallabha Prabhu in Navadvip. He was there in Navadvip, and he's not wearing a dhoti or anything. He's wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and it's like, but Gurudev already saw something in him, and he said, please, you, I want to introduce you to my disciple, Jagannath Vallabha Prabhu from Russia. And that was my first meeting with him. And I forget which year it was, but we had a conversation, and during that conversation, I could understand that this man is an extraordinary man. And when Srila Gurudev gave sannyas to him and gave him the name Avadhut, and I thought, yes, this is perfect for him, perfect name for him. And I know, my relationship with Srila Avadhuta Maharaj, he's always giving so much respect to me as the disciple of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and so on, but I am nothing compared with him. And Srila Guru Maharaj, I saw that Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, while he was traveling with Avadhuta Maharaj in Russia, he's completely submissive to whatever Avadhuta Maharaj wants to do. That whatever Avadhuta Maharaj's idea. Srila Govinda Maharaj is supporting that. And as I say, what other word can I say? Submissive to that. And I heard myself from Srila Govinda Maharaj's own mouth that my Guru Maharaj, this is Srila Govinda Maharaj said, my Guru Maharaj appeared to me in the form of Srila Avadhuta Maharaj. And really, I mean, this is an extraordinary thing. Srila Govinda Maharaj would not say such a thing about anyone if it were not so. He wouldn't just say that to encourage the devotees. He would say that because in his heart he believed it to be so, that Srila Sridhar Maharaj appears to him in the form of Avadhuta Maharaj, and he had complete faith in him, in his preaching in the Russian, Slavic world, and everywhere actually, wherever he goes, he's giving pure Krishna consciousness to the world, and he's, I have to say, he's a great hero to me, and if he sometimes engages me in some service, sometimes he asks me to come to the Veda Life Festival or give some service to me for that, then I feel myself really blessed. I really feel myself blessed. And he also is one of the Vaishnavas that I know I can rely on in my life, always. But as you know, he's always going here, going there, not so easy to pin him down. But when I get the opportunity to sit with him for a few moments, I always feel myself to be extremely benefited in my spiritual life and rejuvenated in my enthusiasm for going on, because I see the kind of preaching that he is able to do, and it just leaves me breathless to see that. Really, it does, you know. And he's so also humble about his own position, and you know, never like trying to assert himself as a great Vaishnava or everything. But all who know him, we know that he is a great Vaishnava, a Param Vaishnava. And what can I say more about that? About him, I am a insignificant insect and trying to scuttle around his lotus feet.
Jai Gurudev, Jai all Vaishnavas. Very happy to hearing about different devotees, about Vaishnavas. And we have one hour we spoke. In this hour, yeah. Was like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to hear you, see, and hope that in soon future we can see you maybe in Veda Life Festival, Vaishnava Festival.
I hope so.
And I was also ask you to wish something for devotees, bless, wish for our successful spiritual life.
Yes, of course. My thought is always that: how will the Vaishnavas proceed? I know now life, especially for those in Ukraine and so on, very difficult with the current political situation and war and everything. And you know, sometimes I think my life is so easy in comparison. But nevertheless, whatever situation we find ourselves in, we have to proceed in the line of Krishna consciousness. And only that will give us relief from the troubles of this material world. So I'm always anxious. I'm not qualified to give blessing to anybody, but my heart wants to encourage all the Vaishnavas, take shelter of the teachings of Srila Govinda Maharaj, take shelter of the Susiddhanta, that which has been given by Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, not like anything else in this world. And you have come to take shelter of that line, then you should consider yourselves all to be highly blessed already. And once when Srila Gurudev one devotee asked him, I was with him, and he was on the telephone, and this devotee said, Gurudev, please give me your blessings. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, what? did they run out already? What I gave you already, did that run out? So really, you know, the great Vaishnavas, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and all the present charges of our mission, they are always giving their blessings to the Vaishnavas. And it is my wish that you all take advantage of that and proceed happily in Krishna consciousness, brothers and sisters together, and we can all go to that eternal home together with big Sankirtan. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai. Jai Srila Govinda Maharaj Tirubhav Mahotsav ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Vaishnava Brinda ki jai. Jai Gaura Premanandi.
Jai SRIPAD Devashish Prabhu ki jai. And please also send our obeisances to Ishanuga Didi.
Yes. Yes.
And your daughters, we remember you, and to all devotees from Ukraine with love and other cities of our big family.
Yes, for Jai.